What do you think is the reputation of MSG growing up from the context that you're coming from?
Okay, so growing up, MSG was usually frowned upon. Like my parents wouldn't allow any packets of that MSG near our house, and every time they ate something that didn't sit right with them, they would also blame it on MSG.
A red circle with the slash across the acronym MSG, tucked onto menus, into windows, or displayed prominently at Chinese restaurants. It's ubiquitous to the point of invisibility. How did this salt, which occurs naturally in things like tomatoes and cheese, become stigmatized? The controversy began in 1968 with a satirical letter by Dr. Robert Homan Kwok to the New England Journal of Medicine, reporting a supposed Chinese restaurant syndrome originating with MSG. It quickly became an inside joke in the medical community, letters flying back and forth in medical journals making racist jokes around Chinese food and facetious symptoms. But in a form of genre uptake, where, as ideas move between fields, they lose their original context, the mainstream media latched onto these ideas as legitimate medical claims. In turn, this media attention led researchers to begin to conduct studies into supposed unhealthy physical reactions to MSG. Although these studies were later discredited, the damage had been done. Particularly in America, MSG was seen as an exotic, unhealthy, even dirty food, ideas convenient in upholding xenophobic attitudes towards Asians. Looking at this phenomenon through the lens of semiotics, or the study of signs, symbols, and significance, MSG became the sign signifying a negative stigma. In other words, MSG as an idea became loaded with the weight of the culture of negativity and suspicions towards Asian otherness, couched in pseudo-scientific justifications. So how do cultures change? In business, there are many theories, but one put forward by consulting firm Deloitte uses these steps. 1. Diagnose, name, and validate the culture. 2. Reframe existing narratives. 3. Role model and communicate cultural change. 4. Reinforce and communicate desired beliefs, behaviors, and outcomes. We can overlay the process of a cultural embrace of the stigmatization of MSG on this map to understand how it became embedded in popular culture. We can also use that theory to understand the movement to destigmatize MSG that has been taking place over the past decade. Since the idea of MSG as unhealthy had become normalized, its history had been lost. It took investigative journalists examining these prejudices, exposing the farcical origins, reframing the stigma around MSG as racist, and advocating an embrace of MSG in the media to begin to turn the cultural tides. Celebrity American chefs like Anthony Bourdain and David Chang became vocal in their support of the additive. The FDA has released studies that indicate complete neutrality in terms of health impacts. In certain communities, MSG no longer signifies something negative. Jimmy Chang, a Chinese American we interviewed, whose family owned Chinese restaurants when he was growing up, says that his 7-year-old daughter only knows MSG as another neutral spice like salt.
And it's possible now because I think Chinese restaurants or Chinese food really open up a door for the American palate. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think there was an episode, I think it was Bourdain or another food writer that kind of talked about this idea that Chinese restaurant was really the first Oriental introduction of Eastern flavors, right? And that paved the way for subsequent cuisines.
In a small survey of our peers, however, we found a much slower process of cultural shift. 30% still indicated unease with consuming MSG, and there was a repetition of unhealthy in people's association with the acronym. We were surprised at the continued negativity toward MSG, indicating how deeply these ideas are entrenched. However, the negative stigma attached to MSG is on its way towards obsolescence, with producers like Ajinomoto pouring money into the cause with their No MSG campaign, launched in 2020. The stakes are personal for many. These sorts of racist and xenophobic aggressions have been shown to take a toll on mental, physical, and emotional health.